Welcome to Slight Reliability, learning SRE one day at a time. I'm Stephen Townsend. Hello, welcome to the very first episode of Slight Reliability, which is season 2 of the podcast which used to be called Performance Time. This podcast is a little different. I thought, given that I'm not working actively as a performance engineer, I wanted to change the name, get the theme focused on SRE, or site reliability. So I've been in SRE for 6 months now, so obviously I'm an absolute expert in the topic. Of course I'm not. I'm still an absolute beginner, but I know enough to have an opinion on this topic, which is, what the heck is SRE anyway? I've got 3 answers to the question. First of all, what it started out as at Google. Next, what I want it to be. And lastly, what it actually seems to be in the majority of the industry outside of Google. So SRE was started by Google in 2004. If you want the explanation from the source, head over to sre.google, watch the video, read the books they've released about SRE and how they do it. I'll repeat Ben Trainer's quote from the video on the website. It's what you get when you treat operations as a software problem staffed by software engineers. Let's take a moment to digest that and what it means. However your organization works, there are still 2 different stages of technology work. There's the building or the delivery of new features, the dev part of DevOps, and the running of those features in production, the ops part of DevOps. Whether you combine those 2 activities into a multidisciplinary team or not, it's irrelevant. They are different activities that require different skills. When I hear the statement, treat operations as a software problem, staffed by software engineers, I also hear something else. I read into that we treat delivery and operations differently in the past, and that maybe delivery is a few steps ahead of operations in terms of innovation and advancement. Otherwise, why would we staff operations with software engineers? So what I'm getting at is, I think at the heart, SRE is about taking the advancements made in the realm of software delivery and applying them to the world of operations. At Google, there are still 2 distinct roles: SDEs, software delivery engineers, and SREs, site reliability engineers. But what's different from most organizations is that both of those roles are software engineering at their core, and both groups work together collaboratively, and they have this agreed set of commitments to each other. And that's the thing that makes all the difference. When I think of Google SRE, I think of the following concepts: service level objectives, SLOs, service level indicators, SLIs, as a way to build reliability into our products and continually track that in production. Reducing toil, manual repetitive work, by automating and simplifying as much as possible. Patterns and anti-patterns for reliable, complex software solutions. A blameless culture which encourages psychological safety. How can we innovate and take risks together if there's no trust? And continuous learning, celebrating failure, for example, blameless post-mortems, to reflect on an incident and how it was handled, the good and the bad. All of this stuff is great, but it was built at Google for Google. Your organization, the place that you work, probably isn't Google, and every organization has their own unique context. People, processes, history, products, outcomes, customers, it's all unique. You have to come up with this stuff for yourself in a way. Which brings me to my second answer. What do I want SRE to be? Now, the only organization like Google in the world is Google. Every other organization is unique. Because digital delivery is a creative, unpredictable field, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. So because of that, I want SRE to be about focusing on the outcomes. The worst thing I think we can do is try and do SRE, copy the Google approach, the same way we've been trying to and failing to do Agile or do DevOps for many years. Once we start mimicking rituals without focusing on outcomes, we're pretty much stuffed. And that just leads to teams of unhappy or disempowered people and likely no good outcomes to the organization. Now, I have been thinking about this quite a bit recently. And I've tried to sum up in my own words what the outcome of SRE is, what it's trying to achieve in my own words. And I'd say it's something like this: building and running more reliable systems, understanding the customer behavior better and how our technology changes impact that, operating software systems more efficiently and effectively, bridging the gap between delivery and operations to achieve better outcomes for everyone, and contributing to a culture of psychological safety, including continual learning and improvement and blameless culture. So wrapping all that up, you could say it's about having happier customers and workers, and working to achieve this in the space of operations. So right now, to me, that's what the desired outcome of SRE looks like. What I want SRE to be is the endeavor of achieving those outcomes in any way that works. Sometimes you can get a better outcome by adjusting your current legacy approach slightly than trying to boil the ocean and change everything. Change can be, and often should be, an evolution rather than a revolution. So to me, that's an exciting and engaging role, something I want to be part of. And if what I end up doing isn't technically SRE, then I'm more than okay with that. Unfortunately, I don't think that that's what SRE really is at the moment in most organizations. Which brings me to my third answer, which is what SRE seems to be from my perception throughout the majority of the industry. When I see SRE roles being advertised online, when I see discussions from SREs from different organizations around the world, what I tend to see, and this is just my perception, is that SRE has become a rebranding of what is essentially a traditional ops or platform engineer. Or it's like a more technical ops engineer who has a deep and wide skill set, a unicorn who has seemingly impossible skills, which very few people have around the world. When I see SREs talk online, the vast majority of the time the discussion is about tools or technologies. In particular, there seems to be a tool to solve every problem. GitOps, cloud, containers, serverless computing, a new APM tool. And that really concerns me. Tools don't solve problems. People do. If you pick up a new tool without doing the work first to understand the problem you're trying to solve, to identify how you want to tackle it, before you start locking in your technology, then you're just going to end up with yet another tool, more technical debt, and being no further towards better customer outcomes, which is the whole purpose of all this. Now, I haven't gone out and worked at a bunch of organizations and seen SRE in action, so this is purely speculation on my part, based on what I'm seeing in the discussions online. But assuming that I'm right, which I may not be, I think that this is a huge missed opportunity. So what does it mean for me? I'm going to keep working towards being the kind of SRE that I think we need in the industry, the one who is going to get better customer outcomes. I don't really care if what I'm doing doesn't align with the majority of other SREs out there, as long as I keep experimenting, getting feedback, measuring results, and adjusting what I'm doing towards better customer outcomes, then I think I'm going to head in the right direction. So that's the end of the first episode of Slight Reliability. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're an SRE out in the world working for an organization, I'd love to hear more about how you're implementing it, what your views are on SRE, and what your challenges are. If you're keen to come on the show, to be interviewed by me, let me know via Twitter or LinkedIn. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to the discussion that follows from this. And I'll see you with another episode very soon.